I'll tell you. Bear is a rock musical epic that usually gets lost in the zeitgeist of teen rock musicals like Spring Awakening, Jagged Little Pill, or Carrie. Little do most people know, Bear was the first of its kind. Written by John Hartmere and the late Damon Intrabartolo, Bear tells the story of a group of 5 students as they navigate adolescence in a Catholic boarding school. The show mainly focuses on the struggles of Peter and Jason, 2 seniors in high school who are in love, but due to their religion as well as their society, they have to keep it a secret. This leads to a downward spiral that is unbearably realistic and at some points grueling. There are a few main relationships that the show focuses on. As I said, Peter and Jason, Jason and his twin sister Nadia, Jason and Ivy, Ivy and Matt, Ivy and Nadia, and all of their relationships with the adults in their lives. The show was workshopped for over 3 years in Los Angeles, before the finished product premiered at the Old Hudson Theater on October 14, 2000. The show was met with critical acclaim and was given multiple extensions. Many people were wanting to see the show so badly that the theater even let people sit on the stairs in the auditorium. The performances of the 5 main leads, John Griffin, John Torres, Jenna Leigh Green, Keili Lefkovitz, and Wallace Smith, were met with extreme praise as well as praise for Stephanie Anderson, who played the beloved Sister Chantel. After multiple extensions of their run, the original Los Angeles production closed on February 25, 2001. The show was then further edited and workshopped before the writers and original director Kirsten Hange were given the opportunity to produce the show in New York City at the American Theater of Actors off-Broadway. Sadly, the show only ran for 6 weeks, from April 19th to May 27, 2004. Yes, 4 years later.
Honestly, simply put, Bear is about, a group of teenagers who are really just trying to find their way. And unfortunately, they are living in a situation and living in a world where being yourself isn't necessarily accepted. And the struggle to, either decide to go against what you're being told or to truly live your life in the way that makes you happy.
It's really a story about 5 people's lives being laid bare. That's really what it was about. Wallace and Jenna, Keili, John and I, we all went through that journey together, and each character has their own individual journey, but at the same time, it all comes together in the end, with, Jason's untimely death, which, is a message in and of itself. So to me, it's really people would say it's not such a classic story of growing up, but I think it is. Everyone has their thing that they hate in themselves. Everyone, like Ivy, she's the most popular girl in school, but she's the most insecure one in the whole building. So everyone has their thing. Matt is so desperate for attention, he's willing to ruin someone's life.
Exactly,
So, they all are going through their own thing. So it's about 5 kids all going through their own troubles and coming together in the end around a very untimely and very sad death.
Bear is a show that, the basics in terms of it being, a Catholic high school. But I think it's a show that that hits a lot of high and low points in many people's lives at that time. And I'll be honest with you, these things don't necessarily go away. They do get better as you grow up. But it tackles angst. It tackles abomination. It tackles God and the questioning of God, and confusion, desire, acceptance, approval, just basic fundamental human needs, disappointment, particularly from adults in our lives. And ultimately, I think it's about love.
The show is about, at least from my perspective, about these two characters, Peter and Jason, who attend a private Catholic boarding school, and they are both gay but not out of the closet, and dealing with the difficulties of being LGBTQ and in a place where they are not accepted, and on top of all that, just the coming of age of anyone. There are some other characters who are dealing with their own issues that are not of the same ilk, but similarly important as far as like self-love and self-mutilation, and also teen pregnancy and all those fun things. It's everything. It's every teen problem in one.
I was in an acting class with Keili Lefkovitz, and she had done a staged reading of Bear with Mandy Gonzalez. Mandy was playing Ivy, and they had done like just in front of a microphone reading of the show. And the show was so different, like so different.
Yeah.
Like one number where he was in drag, like it was all. It was a workshop. It was a workshop, just reading with the scripts in their hands. And I went and saw it, and I was closeted at the time when I did Bear, and before then as well. So the show scared the shit out of me. So Keili said to me, when they decided to mount a full production, she said, they're holding auditions, and we were doing a scene together in class, in my acting class. We were doing a scene from Big, and she said, I really want you to audition for this. And I was like, oh, I don't know, musical theater. I haven't done it since high school. I don't know. Really, I was just scared. So anyway, I went and I auditioned. To this day, they'll never let me live it down. I was trying to look very young. So back in the day, those big kind of parachute pants were in, like the NSYNC pants.
Oh gosh. I
was wearing yellow, like parachute pants, a baggy white t-shirt, and an orange vest. I'll never forget it. And so I auditioned for John Hartmere, Keili, and Damon. And I got cast. So it's all because of Keili Lefkovitz that I got involved in the show.
A friend of mine ran this karaoke once a week in LA, and I would go a lot with my friends. Yeah. And I guess Damon and John Hartmere and Debbie Lurie, who was the original orchestrator. Yeah. A friend of theirs was like, hey, you guys have to come to this karaoke. There's this girl. They were like, she comes to karaoke with her friends all the time. I think she would be really great for Ivy. So they came to the karaoke bar, and I met them there. And then I think they asked me, because I didn't know, so I don't even know what I sang that night, but they asked me to come. I think I went to Debbie Lurie's studio, and they didn't have me sing anything from the show because I didn't know anything, but they just had me like sing a couple things and like vocalize. And then they were like, we're doing this reading. Do you have any desire to be a part of it? I was like, sure. So, it was so random.
Well, it's strange because the first thing I booked when I came out to Los Angeles, it was like, I graduated from University of Missouri, came out here within a couple of weeks. I booked this film, and I was supposed to sing in it. And I was never a singer. I've never been a trained singer. I never thought of myself as a singer. And when I booked this film and they're like, yeah, we're going to have you sing, I was like, well, this must be a shitty film because they're not going to sing. I swear to you. And then when I went in to record this one song, written by the director and then composed by this random composer who I had never heard of, Damon Imtropartolo. He was sitting in the next room and he was playing like a mad genius, and he went, that's her voice. And someone said something, Debbie Lurie, who worked, and she goes, that's the voice. And he goes, that's the damn voice. And I said, what are you talking about? He goes, you're the voice of Nadia. That's the voice of Nadia. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. He said, I want you to do my show. And I said, fine. And then he was like, so I want you to start, I want you to come over to my place and start working on this music. And I thought, sure, yeah, I'll do it. Must be a shitty project. Because again, I was like, because I can't sing. And so he and I started working on music before we did concept albums. And then we did the first concept album and another concept album and another one. Then we take video, then we take some pictures. I have so many albums that go so far back it would freak you out because it's so different. But that's how I started. I started because of a film called Scrapbook, written by and directed by Kurt Kinney.
Yeah, so the people who were producing it were a theater company here in LA called Glory Struck. And I had worked with them on...
Sorry.
It's okay. I had worked with them on 2 of their previous productions. They had done a production of Glory Days, which was the first time I worked with them. And then they did a production of Spring Awakening, which I was also a part of. I was Georg in that show. So when they approached me about doing doing Bear, I was currently also in a different show here in LA, and so I was on the fence of whether I was going to do it at all. And I honestly knew nothing about the show. I knew absolutely nothing, had never heard of it, hadn't heard a single song, nothing.
Yeah.
And so I kind of went to audition as sort of just like a courtesy to be like, hey, I love you guys, thank you for asking me, but I don't know. And I still think it was one of the worst auditions I've ever been on.
What?
I was just horribly unprepared. But
what you sang?
I think I sang Role of a Lifetime. I think they told us to prepare it, but I remember like not really knowing it. And so this was a good lesson of, one, I felt embarrassed and I felt bad afterwards, but also it goes to show you that a lot of times it's not all about what happens in the audition. It's about who you know and what they know about you. Because I think the people who were in charge had all worked with me before and sort of believed that I could still do the part. So I had, at the callback, I was much more prepared. But my initial audition was kind of like, I don't want to be here. I'm just coming in to say hi and thank you guys. I love you and good luck with your show. But I'm very, very thankful that they gave me the opportunity because it ended up being one of the best experiences of my career. Just both, I was really proud of the work and production that we put on, and also the show's lasting impact has been, beyond anything else I've done. I'm talking to you here 6 years later. I get every once in a while I'll get a message on Instagram or YouTube about how it impacted someone or meant something. So I'm very happy that it worked out.
That Ivy is a girl who struggles with self-confidence. I think that she has always gotten, attention for, the type of personality that she puts on, and, maybe for her looks, and maybe for this or that. And I think that it's easier for her to just allow people to think whatever it is that they want to think, as opposed to trying to stand up for herself and trying to rock the boat. I think she has, she's got a single mother, and who's probably pretty young when she had her.
Yeah.
And the only form of love that she recognizes is attention.
Yeah.
So she just seeks out attention. But I do think that her feelings for Jason and her connection to Jason are 100% real for her.
Play Nadia, who is, I think, one of 2 characters that's kind of the heart of the show, written to be the heart of the show in terms of a vehicle of a character. And she is a tough chick with heart, and she's a lot of feelings and a lot of mouth.
Yeah.
And she's all love. She's overlooked and she's underappreciated for who she is, and quite genius. And I think that and plays the twin to Jason. I think that she is a seer, and I think that she sees all along. I think she's probably one of the only people who accepts people for who they are as they are.
So for the development of the show, we would be getting notes every night.
The whole show was a lot different. It was constantly being rewritten and rewritten.
And John Hartmere would come up and be like, yeah, Keili, so I was thinking. I was like, no, stop talking to me. Don't talk to me. Don't give me shit. I'm not listening. I'm not taking the note. You can tell me tomorrow another time. I'm not doing you and goodbye. And he'd be like, shut up, shut up, shut up. I was like, yeah. Don't tell me this. I was like, dude, you're not an actor. You don't understand. Like, and as a professional, you don't want to do those things, but we all had that closeness that I could say, don't do it. Don't say it, don't do it.
Remember one night I was walking out for Once Upon a Time, and it's a quick change, and I'm like running out, and he's like, hey Griff, backstage, like at the Hudson, I'm literally waiting to go out. He's like, I'm gonna change these lyrics in like the second verse, and then I'm like, no, not now. Not now, it's not happening. Like, tell me after the show and we'll do it tomorrow. Like, I can't, you know what I mean? Like, I'll go up if you have me do that. Like, I can't. So, it was really, and it was so packed back there. There were only 2 dressing rooms for a massively large cast in this tiny little space.
We were a clown car of people. I mean, it was just, people were just coming out from all, and our whole entire band was floating on our heads. And it was just nuts. It was nuts. We got real close backstage.
In September of 2013, the Los Angeles revival opened at the Hayworth Theater with the company Glory Struck Productions. This production starred Jonah Platt, brother of Ben Platt, as Jason, Payson Lewis as Peter, Lindsay Heather Pierce, currently playing Elphaba and Wicked on Broadway, as Ivy, Katie Stevens from American Idol, the bold type on Freeform, and the new horror film Haunt as Nadia, as well as original cast members such as Stephanie Anderson reprising her role as Sister Chantel, and John Griffin, the original Jason, playing Father Flynn.
I remember there was one rehearsal in particular where we had finished our rehearsal, we were kind of going through notes and we were working on some stuff, and then we were all sitting in the house, and we went person to person. Every single person in the cast shared what this show meant to them and why it was important. And sometimes it was about being in our particular production, or whether it was things that they've dealt with in their lives. And it was sort of like unplanned. It just kind of started like,
just like you guys were talking.
Yeah, and it was at the end of rehearsal, and I remember, it kind of felt like, oh my gosh, why are we doing this? Like, I'm tired, let's go home. And then by the end of it, none of us wanted to leave. We were all like hugging and telling people that we were there for them, and we had an interesting experience.
Sadly, during the rehearsals for this production, the original creator of the show, Damon Interbartolo, sadly passed away on August 13th, 2013, suddenly at the age of 39. He was a conductor and orchestrator for musicals such as Dreamgirls and Hedwig and the Angry Inch. But as a young student at the University of Southern California, he wrote 5 songs that tell the story of Peter and Jason, which turned into the amazing show we know today. He won an LA Critics Circle Award, as well as the Ovation Award, in 2001. A memorial was held in his honor where songs from the show were performed by cast members, and the 2013 production was dedicated to Damon and was also met with extreme praise.
Damon was all about the music.
Mm-hmm.
So in Once Upon a Time, I would always go where Jason goes at the end of the song, right before, and we knew it all, but then it's at the end. And I would always take a pause right before that, and we knew it all, because the audience, you have to understand, we're like literally a foot in front of me. I was there on stage, and they were all so in it, and I was sobbing, and so every night, and so I would take that moment, and I would take a moment, you know, actor, to live that moment for the character. And Damon was, all the musicians were on top of the bedrooms on either side of us, so I could see Damon out of the corner of my eye. I mean, the stage was like this big, so I could see Damon up here, and every night he'd be like, he'd be going like this, you know what I mean? Like, and so, you know, but I wouldn't. And then because he couldn't start until I started and we knew it all. And so I finally would do that. And then I'd see him go, and like, you know, whatever. And then every night he'd be like, move it along, John Griffin, move it along, John Griffin. You know what I mean? Like, so, you know, we always had that little ongoing battle, if you will, during Once Upon a Time, but that was more of a joke battle, but it annoyed the shit out of him.
Damon never referred to me as anything other than Jenna Leigh Green.
Oh, really?
My full name always.
Oh, I love that.
Or actually, he either used my entire name always, or he just called me Lee. Damon was a mad scientist. I mean, he was off his rocker, but he was amazing. He was a genius, but, you know, a lot of mad scientists, genius people are troubled, and he was. But he was a very, very complicated individual, but he was an amazing person.
Kristen Hange and Abney Nazemian, who was his ex-boyfriend, but they were during Bear, and I all met and packed up his life, went to his and packed him up. And the one thing I will tell you, without getting too specific, that I found perfect and haunting and upsetting and comforting all at once is when you walked into the door of his apartment. To the left was his kitchen, in front was, you know, his couch and where he was, and to the right was his piano, and on his piano, the one piece of music open on his piano was A Quiet Night at Home. And it just, oh my God, it just killed me. It just killed me, because I either thought like, that's the place that he was in. Why was he revisiting the song? Or did it make him feel good? And it was like a piece of home, because Damon always thought of himself as Nadia, nobody else. And he can say there's a little bit of me in here, but he always was very upfront that was who he associated with 100%. All barbs, all, you know, all tongue, but all heart. You know, so that much I will tell you, that was the last piece he played on his piano.
Since the show opened in the fall of 2000, millions of people have been inspired, encouraged, and empowered by this amazing show about self-discovery. It has helped many people struggling with depression, anxiety, being closeted, being a teen mom, and people who struggle to find love in a world where it can sometimes feel impossible.
One forever, one tomorrow, one today. Deep inside you, I am certain you can help me find my way.